class. Today we're going to be doing a portraiture of a boy, and I'm looking through some of my sketches here and trying to see which of these I might want to use to kind of add different elements to the drawing. So I've got lots of sketches here of dogs and kind of boyish stereotypical things, and different boys in different poses, and yeah, so I'm just thinking about that. But also I've been recently starting to draw my characters like this, so I am trying to think of which boy I should actually use in this piece. So what we'll be doing in the class is basically using one of these characters, maybe this one. And so I'll be trying to redraw him after I've kind of prepared this card, which was it's a thick card. Let me just see if I can turn it around sideways so you can see the thickness of that. And it was an old sketchbook back cover, so it's quite thick. You can always buy them in the actual art shop to use, but I've decided to use this one, so it's going to be quite a substantial base substrate to use to create this little character. And so I'm going to see how I can play that in with some of the themes I was looking at there. And I'm going to use basically everything that I have to hand, which is anything from, which if you have any of these then you can use them, but I'll put an items list anyway, so you'll find that. So I can use my pastels. This is an older one, so I have another one here, it's a bigger one. And so it's got different pastels in that we'll use. Yeah, I can leave that open because it's very colourful and I love it. That one. And I also have some of my watercolours as well, which I've been using a lot of recently. So I'll use that mixed in with this piece as well. And I'll be using my white gesso and also my clear gesso as well. Just it depends what effect you're trying to get, but the clear gesso, if you use any of the pastels, it will keep the color pure to the color of the pastels, whereas if you use a white pastel, then it would change the value, so it would make it lighter. And you can get different colors of gesso as well. So yeah, watercolor. I do have also water-based pastels here, oil pastels, water-based oil pastels, so that might come in at some point as well, so I'll just leave this open as well. I have acrylics, but I'll see if I want to use that towards the end to kind of fine-tune some things as well. So I will be also using some collage elements, so it's like a mixed media thing. So I'll have some tissue papers that I have here, just lots of different tissue papers, or you can use craft papers as well, which I have. Yeah, some craft papers as well, just different variety of colors and themes that you can use as well. Also, I do have painted papers that I've made myself, so just from different kinds of painting and over scripts and the variety of colors that you can use, very subtle kind of, you know, sometimes you can have your brush and have extra paint on it and you just want to get rid of the paint, so you can just brush that onto a piece of paper and then keep that for another day. So this is a painted paper as well, it's a black one. What other colors? And I have what I call my painted spheres as well, so it is papers that I've painted on and just cut into spheres, so these might be useful at some point. But you can do different colors, you know, reds, blues, whatever colors you want to use, including the tissue papers. So just seeing some of the craft papers, because I have a bundle here that I keep just to try and use some scraps. Just seen a couple of craft papers in my collection here. So I think I saw one here. I'm trying to find it again. I can always get another one. Oh, here it is. Yep, that one. So you can basically just prepare your substrate by gluing these down. So I'm going to start gluing these down and then getting straight onto the rest of the painting. So let's get on with this. So basically you just start, and I'm using also a glue stick. You can use gel medium, you can use PVA if you wanted, if that was what you had available. But I usually use gel medium, but I'm going to use, just because this will dry maybe quicker, I'm going to be using this glue stick. And you could, if you wanted it to be thinner, you could make the papers thinner. For if they're craft paper, sometimes it can be quite thick, so you could try and spend time peeling the back off that. But I'm just going to go straight in and start putting the pieces down on this surface, which is it absorbs quite a bit, so you could put it on either side of the paper if you wanted to do that. Just quickly doing this so that it all dries and works quite quickly together. So some parts of this lesson I might fast forward just because of the drying time that's required in between, and to get you to see what is happening. So I'm gonna put this down here. Maybe put a little bit down here, this edge. So mixed media art paintings are, I think, is still kind of a mystery to people as to the purpose of them, but a lot of artists use mixed media, or a lot of the abstract artists used mixed media and collage, for example, to create pieces. So it helps to kind of put down layers that you can work with if you're thinking of colors. And some people will put you know, images of people and do all sorts of different things with it. So, and you can be selective with the colors you want to use. You don't have to use these colors. This is what I have to hand, and I'm just putting them together and seeing how it goes. And after this, I'll put on another layer of mediums, and you just build on it. And at this point in time, we're just placing colors and things and textures of pieces beside each other. You can make them smaller, bigger. You could put small pieces, big pieces. I'm putting on quite a lot of glue here because I want to make sure this stays down. So can cut bits, and this is all being put together here. Can overlap. So you just feel free to take your time and create whatever background you create. Right, I'll get a new one because I think that's run out, that one. So another one here. Here we go. I use so many of them that they get used up very quickly. So, and also I think because of the surface that I'm using, there's more glue coming out. Usually it's not as much glue coming out, but I'm gonna put something here. So what I've been doing as well, if you don't have a substrate like this, or you don't have any paper, if you have old greeting cards, what I've been doing is gluing them together and using them to actually create on as well. I'll show you an example here of this is a project that I'm working on, and basically I've used gel medium to glue two greeting cards together. You can see some of the writing there, and I have drawn on that. So, but if you look at the back, you can see that it's old greeting cards, and so you could actually just work, you know, on the blank side and create sketches And I plan to use this in different mediums and paint on that, because I know that the image will probably, you know, you can use it digitally if you want, so you can take pictures of that and do other work with it. Or at the end of the day, you're not going to be seeing the back of that. So you can also use gel medium and put another layer of white paper or something on it, or paint it with gesso. It depends what you want to do with it, really. But for me, I think substrate is such a waste to be throwing away greeting cards when you can actually just use them for creating something. I mean, that looks beautiful, doesn't it, the sketch? So paper is paper to me. It's just knowing what layers you put together to make it something that will last some time, basically, for whoever decides to purchase or whatever. So I'm still just adding here. I'm not thinking too much about this. And just enjoy yourself, take your time. I'm not thinking too much about what I'm doing here consciously anyway. I think my brain will be trying to place things together from what I have at hand and balancing it. Or either way, some of this will not show at the end of this. So I think I'll just do a little bit more and leave that, because if not, I could be glowing all day long. I really could. So it doesn't matter if things tear or anything like that happens. You just go with it, really. So I've done that, and what I'm going to do is also do some kind of sketching on things and try not to think too much about it. It's still a little bit wet, so you could wait before you add different elements of things on this. But I'm just going to go ahead and start adding things. Just kind of scratch at elements. To see if I have my pen around. Just really draw with a lot of pens. So usually you could wait when this is dry as well to add different marks on it and things. And then what I'll do next is use some gesso. So actually, yeah, I'll wait for that to dry. So I'll use some gesso. So I'm going to use my white gesso and just go over some areas of this that I want to kind of give a different layer. So you could cover most of this basically up, and some of the colors will peek through. So you just take your time and see how you go, because the boy will be underneath, will be above this, and this can just be a hint of colors. You've put that there, you've done that work, and it allowed you time to think while you were doing that as well. So here also you could actually add your acrylics if you wanted. But I'm adding this gesso so that when it dries, I will use that next for drawing my character. So, and you could just put marks in it and, you know, just do some thicker bits. So this will need to dry, and then we'll go on with drawing on it next. So just take your time and enjoy yourself and relax into it. So we'll let this dry, and then we'll go on to the next stage of the painting. I'll be right back. going to do now is just go ahead and draw out a character. And I'm trying to see if I can follow this a little bit. And I'm using a biro pen here just to draw, but we'll see if I can actually get this boy as close as possible. Portrait. You could use a pencil if you wanted, but I'm very flexible because I love to draw with biro pen, so I'm just going straight in there and adjusting maybe a little bit and trying to put this little nose in. So my pen is actually also scratching into the back of this. I'm going to close that window. I open that up to air this a little bit, right? So, and then for his mouth. So I'll put a sketch of this in the actual, as a JPEG. So if you print that out and you use that for this template here for just to copy, or you could print it out and glue it down onto a tougher substrate using, like I said, gel medium or PVA or glue stick. And so here I hadn't given this little character some hair, so I'm trying to think what kind of hair I might give him now. So this area is still a bit wet, so I'm still scratching in, and then there's some sides that so I'll do his eyes probably facing this way, so this will be the shadowed side. Instead of like this side, he's facing the other way, but I can adjust it. So sometimes the eyes as well might be slightly different sizes, so I don't mind that because it's just the way, I mean, I think about things like squints and that freedom for all of those kind of expressions. So I can pull this out a bit of that back, and you can now vaguely see the little character there. And he's got some freckles as well, so I'll just put that to remind myself. And so you can see the colors through this. It looks almost like a wall that's peeling, that's got layers of wallpaper, or there's something going on with the texture on that, which is added an extra interest. And then it's kind of just drawing into this character with different tools as he's drying and things. So I can also use some watercolor paint now as well. So if I wanted to, or I could use some pastels. I'm trying to think. I'll do some watercolor. Actually, I'll do some pastel first because I'm looking at the layering of how I do this. If I use the watercolor first, it's going to be wet again for a while before I can do something that might add to this. So I'm kind of now, so it would be drier than this. So you'd kind of have to be patient doing it, but I'm just going straight in. You can also scrape it. If I find one of my other tools. See, here we are. So like one of my other palette knives, and you can scrape the dry chalk pastels on, and then you can actually use gel medium, the clear gel medium, to build something on this. So I'm going to do that in a minute. I'll just put some different colors, put some yellow in here as well. Let's get the yellow. It's like a dull yellow, but I'm just gonna scrape this in. You can do this with the white gesso as well, but I'm just gonna do it with this. And I'm thinking of adding, extra interest because I can kind of see this kind of turquoise. Oh, if I can get it out, just use my palette now to get it out. So you can see some maybe added interest in the eyes here of that turquoise, and then I'll just kind of sprinkle that turquoise in some other areas of the piece. So not too much. Then I'm gonna use some of my gel medium, which I'll do the, trying to think if I'll do the turquoise first, but I'll just do one drop just here in the eye, and then go on with, all right, okay, where's my brush? A smaller brush. Here we go. Use this one, and I'll just seal this in here, this area, before then going on to mix this in, because the gesso is also still a bit wet. You can then basically end up mixing that in lightly with it. So you've gotten the color there. I'm going to put some white on this. Get some more gesso, and just starting to put in more layers. And as always, you can draw over these and seal them in. So actually I'm going to try and squeeze out some more gel medium. Maybe use this before I use any watercolor, because then the watercolor is a whole different thing going on. So with that green on there, I'm just gonna still go over some of these pastel colors that I put on. I'm doing these darker ones first, and I'm using the gel medium that I've squeezed out here, the clear gel medium, I should say, and it just, you can see the color change in there, and just put that in, and it just brings out color, and it keeps it to the color of the pastel, which is what I wanted. And then you can just kind of sculpt with that to where you want it. And just use up what's on the brush. That is, it's a good thing to do. So I'm going to use some more in here, just taking it up from the neck, and I'll get to this here, and just to kind of pull it all together. So you can push, you can pull back. So this, yes, is like this, but you can do some more work with it and pull it back a little bit. So even for these areas here where I've got now this gel medium for the lips, you can go in and get some white gesso and go over some bits again. And so that's me just using the pastels, the Inkten Inscribe pastels, or chalk pastels, with some clear gesso, and I've already got this kind of a color from the scrapings. And then basically you can go in and work with other mediums now as well. So I'm going to go in and probably use, I want to maybe push it back a little bit, I'm not sure. I'll make it even darker still, but I might go in with some actual white and add some bits to this so that you see some other areas, right? Okay, so this is me using, because it's still got some of that brown in it, so making the eyes a bit more in some areas, just pull out some areas. You can see, so maybe some here, and it's starting to look a little different. So you add in a bit of depth to it. And start adding other things in here. So I could scrape in some other colors. Now you can see how that looks there. I'm just adding white gesso to this. So for his hair color, trying to decide what to do with the hair. You can go in with the watercolor and start adding some other areas of interest around that character, just to kind of make him stand out a little bit more and to know what is where. So this is watercolor and a little bit of gesso, and you can use a clear gesso as well if you want, and that will keep the color and set the watercolor as well. So set the watercolor. So that's a bit brighter. If I wanted the hair to be darker, I'll just go in, and I'm not cleaning my brush at all or anything because I'm wanting the colors to kind of overlap. So push and pull, and let's not put too many things on this. Let's just keep it very simple. Trying to get in areas of shadow and some areas of his face. And to see how that goes. So just put some here. So the eyes, I'm trying to think of, you can use, basically for the eyes, you could use different things. You can use acrylic. I can use a Sharpie like this here. Once it's dry, you can work with a Sharpie to get in different, I think it's still a bit wet here, isn't it? Oh, the Sharpie's responding to something. But even after it's mostly dry, you can still draw it in again with a pen. You can go in, you can emphasize with things. I'm gonna use some and mix it a little bit. So I'm trying to just just introducing colors, and you can't see it very easily because it is still a bit subtle. But so here I've used Inktense, I've used gessos, the different gessos, I've used the different like the watercolor, and once things dry you can just layer with more and more different mediums to get the effect that you want. So I'm trying to think. So yeah, you can see how he's going along. And this area around him I've not done too much to, because I've just looked at just him as a character. And I could always just, if I wanted to be stereotypical, just add some layers of blue, just simply on his clothing there. Bring in some blue in his eye here, and then starting to build the colors that will go in the eye area. So there's maybe some green. Again, I'm gonna use some gesso in this to set it some more blue. Let's go back to the blue again. It's got some gesso in that. So let's set that. And you could bring in some other colors into other parts of his face as well. So I'm just being very random with where I'm putting this. And building it. And then we could put some more white to pull this out, because my brush is a bit wet. But you can see it's starting to get a bit more three-dimensional. There's a bit more short strokes. If I wanted to put other colors in here, like pinks and things, so that is supposed to be kind of in shadow, so yeah, it's just pink here. There needs to be more black line here, I think. So, and then the hair. So you can see how this looks so far, and with this hair just kind of not doing too much. I'm going to go back in and bring out some more of this darker color for his hair and put them in again. I don't want to put any red because I don't want to bring it into his hair. His face here is quite red already. It's a lot of red. And you could bring in blacks and things in his eye here, because his eye seems quite dulled. So what I could do is try and either mix a color or just go straight into my acrylic and get the black acrylic. Just find it here. Got my black acrylic, and just straight away go in there and use the black on that. Just cleaning off my brush and so coming in with the black, and you can see the difference when the darker color is there, and it makes it a lot clearer what's going on. So trying to give him his lashes. And so that's overall what it's looking like. And then, as I said, I can go in again and start using my black pen to kind of scribble and scratch and get back to that kind of sketchy look, which there is some of it already, but you can see what that looks like. So now you can add more on the background if you want. I wanted to focus more on the aspect of it being a portrait, and just getting you to that stage where you're kind of seeing it as a portrait like that. So I'm just adding lightly with the black that's left on my brush to build on some areas which just making some things darker. So, just go back a bit. So, So it's just trying to build it and to get it to look a certain way. So overall that's most of them done there. So when it dries, then you could add some other elements to this as well. So I'm gonna do some more time with my heat gun to try and cool it, to dry it down, and then maybe go in again and do some kind of sketching a little bit. I don't want to touch it too much, just for you to see how you can do this, and then with the Posca pen also to put the highlights in the eyes and things. So let's see if I can. My Posca pen, and so this is like you could use white acrylic or you could use gesso to get the highlights that I'm about to do. But I've been using my Posca pen for this. I'll just get a brush to use. Just pour it out. So what I do is, because sometimes this is really unpredictable, the Posca pen, I just kind of will get it to come out into a little dish like this, and then I will use my brush to do whatever I'm going to do, because sometimes it's very unpredictable and it won't do what you want it to do. So one there and one there roughly, and then one it's kind of the way I did the eyes. So let's see here. And then I can use some of this now to highlight some other areas. Nose. So, and you can dab and you can make some areas not so highlighted. I'm gonna use some also in the eyes here. And so it's like a really nice texture of roughness on this whole thing, and then just putting in some of this is still wet probably. So there's all that going on. Some streaks to the hair. And also, see, maybe a bit of like a highlight around the neck. But after doing all that, you can still do some other things. So there's a lot going on. Okay, that's. I'm trying to think, what else could I do? I have my permanent markers here, so I can go in and start adding some other things once some other areas have dried. But I'm thinking about, okay, his top. Because see what these will do. Just gonna start adding some areas. Really, I can't believe I just did that. But yeah, when you have a lot of equipment around you, you can do a lot of interesting things with that. So I'm gonna put some other colors on this. I'm trying to think, because there's already blue. I don't want to put blue. Ooh, I like this green. So I might draw some of this in between here and then, and just basically I could use my brush, or just to be interesting, I will use this instead. So let's just change that a little bit. See what other colors. It's not what I just used, so I'm just gonna put some of this one as well. So this could be kind of like misconstrued to be maybe plants in the background or something. But I like my colors a lot, so I'll blend it a little bit more at the bottom. But also what I can do is to, see if I just bend that over, start using some other colors in other areas of this character. Like here, for example, his shirt, I can start using, still wet I guess. I have to wait till a lot of this stuff is actually in a different place. I'm trying to think what other tools I can use while this is still trying to dry. So obviously I am rushing this to kind of get you to see what you can do. And the details, and I don't want to do too much to spoil this. Sometimes you can add a blush to the boy's face using different tools. I could do a bit of this, a bit of this, and then seal it in with some gesso. So there's a light color in there. So this is still wet, so I'm just gonna rub it in a bit. Then go in, maybe the red. With the red in there with the watercolor again, just add some. So you can keep on building the face and adding to the characters. And I really like the way that looks there. I'm gonna add a little bit more over here. There's so much you could do. You can use your other pens and you can just keep on building and building and building on the little character. And then for the freckles that I said I've had in mind, and you can also, I've got, just add other colors to highlight areas. So it's just building and building. Just put some gesso over that to seal it in. You could use gel medium for sealing in areas as well. It doesn't have to be like what I'm doing here, which is using gesso. You could use gel medium to seal it in as well. And then you could make areas lighter if you want around the character as well. And yeah. So just to make it a little bit quieter around the face, and so you can see it a little better, you can always paint large areas out as well once it dries. So in the closer inspection you can see all the detail in this. I think. So you can see how much has been painted out and what is kind of left. So you saw at the beginning we started with the mixed media collaging and the drawing, and even with this you could still draw some more with the pen around the eyes. You can build into it if you want it. But you can see the detail when you come closer on this of everything, what it looks like. And you could always, you know, go over and really make it a bit more detailed if you want, but this has helped to structure it, the initial drawing, and then you can just come in afterwards and just really help to brighten everything up and to give it a little bit of interest in that. So that's the class for today. I will put a drawing of this character for you to sketch. You could add different things to this. It doesn't have to just look like this. There can be, you know, look, if I just do this, there can be different elements that you can add to the image to make it a little bit of something else. So I've done here, and if I do another one here, scratching into that and making very interesting drawings over the green there. And I really like these kind of little leaves. And there's so many variations on this because you can do trees as well. So I'm just scratching into this and into the white, and you can see the little bushes over the actual colors that I've just painted in white. So some of it is scratching to show the colors underneath, and then the pen is also kind of coming through in other areas as well. So yeah, this was a lot of fun. So I hope you enjoy the class for creating this little guy, and have fun, and let me know what it looks like.